Who deserves to win MVP the most? With the amount of insanely high-level games recently, as well as amazing talents leading teams to higher seeds, who really deserves to be in the MVP conversation right now? And who deserves to win right now? Jayson Tatum is having the best year of his career, and the Celtics are the best they've been in a few years. Steph Curry, a former two-time MVP, was beating both of his MVP seasons statistically before missing time this season. Embiid has had multiple all-time great games and performances this season, as had Luka. Donovan Mitchell just dropped the only ever 71-point, 10-plus assist game in history. Nikola Jokic is as amazing as always, and Giannis is still easily the best player in the world. Kevin Durant has potentially brought the Nets back to serious basketball contention. All of these names, all top-tier players, but who deserves the award the most? There are a few major factors that go into who wins MVP each season. Potentially the biggest one is their team actually winning. For a couple of these players, the answer is barely. The Mavericks haven't been great. They've been good, and Luka is obviously amazing, but they had a bit of a rocky start. However, they've recently been on a nice win streak led by Luka and have shot up to the 4th seed. Steph and the Warriors are the 6th seed right now, but they were the 10th before he went out with an injury. And they've looked better, but Steph hasn't really been playing recently. They've been led recently by a Klay Thompson resurgence and Poole and Wiggins having great seasons. On the other side, players we don't normally see in MVP conversations, at least so far in their career, have been having great seasons and are in this conversation because their team is winning. Two of those players, former AAU teammates Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. Their teams are the 2nd and 3rd seed in the West, respectively. At the time of this recording, Jokic is leading the MVP ladder for his potential 3rd consecutive year, even though he's 2nd to last in points per game out of everyone, in the top 10. Why? Well, obviously he's averaging 0.5 assists off of a triple-double. His shooting efficiency is top tier, and he's an overall winning player. Denver is currently the 1st seed in the West. Having a winning team isn't the only factor in whether or not you can win MVP, though. Another major factor is how much you're contributing to those wins. The top 3 players for win shares right now are Jokic, Doncic, and KD in that order. The only other players on this list that are in the top 10 for MVP ladder are Sabonis at 4, Tatum at 5, Donovan Mitchell at 6, but then you get down to 10th for Embiid, 14th for Giannis, Zion at 20, and Ja Morant isn't even on the list at all. Win shares isn't foolproof for who's contributing, though. We also have PER, or player efficiency rating, with Jokic and Doncic leading at 1 and 2 respectively. Embiid is at 4, followed by Giannis, then KD. Usage percentage can sometimes negatively impact these stats, though. The more you're the one running the plays and being the main ball handler, the more potential you have to make mistakes, or affect your statistics in a negative way. Giannis leads the league in usage, but Doncic and Embiid are 2nd and 3rd. Jokic is 1st in many other statistics, but isn't even top 20 in his usage rate. The last stat to look at for these players is box plus minus, because having a large box plus rating obviously contributes to more wins. Who's leading the stat? Jokic. At number 1, a full point over Doncic at 2, it's Nikola Jokic with a plus rating of 12.2. That's 3 times the plus-minus rating of Julius Randle, who's 20th on the list. And for me personally, the last major factor in MVP voting is who is currently impacting the league the most in a positive way. Are they affecting how other teams are playing? Do they pull a lot of viewers for the games they're in? And do fans and players respect and enjoy their game? For this factor, I'm looking at TV market ratings for each team, taking into consideration that some teams just have massive markets and will be inflated, as well as the overall opinions and views of these players from fans and players. For my personal list on who is impacting the league the most, Luka Doncic is number 1, easily. He's one of the most well-respected players in the league. The Dallas Mavericks have the 5th highest market size, and JJ Redick was just talking recently with Fred VanVleet about how the league and individual teams need to change their entire game plan just to play against Luka Doncic. He's also just extremely popular and a very likable person, and I think that impacts his MVP voting definitely. Giannis is number 2 because he's probably the most likable player on this top 10 list and potentially the most popular. Also extremely humble and down to earth for being the best player in the world. I'll put Jayson Tatum at 3, John Morant at 4, Jokic at 5, Zion Williamson at 6, then Kevin Durant at 7, and Donovan Mitchell at 8. Embiid goes to 9 just because of how many fans find him and his playstyle unlikable, and Domantas Sabonis is at 10 because he's arguably the worst player on this list, but at the same time extremely underrated by most fans. I heard someone talking recently about how you have to be a very diehard type NBA fan to even understand how important this Kings team is and how important Sabonis is to them. Most people just don't see or understand it. Those are my top 3 factors for who deserves MVP. So, which player actually wins it? In my personal opinion, as of the morning of January 7th, 2023, the person who deserves to win MVP the most is Nikola Jokic. He's statistically the most winning player on this entire list, and also leading his team as a first seed. His points are lower than most of the others, but he's not even top 20 in usage rate and still scoring 25 points with 9.5 assists and 10.7 rebounds. His true shooting is 68.6%, which is 3rd in the entire league. This absolute unicorn of an NBA player is averaging almost a triple-double while barely even holding the ball. Jokic could potentially go down in history as one of the most valuable winning players in NBA history. He just needs to win a championship.